The air in here is different. It has a weight, a density you don't find on the streets anymore. It's the scent of linseed oil mixed with turpentine, a resinous perfume that sticks to the throat of anyone who knows that art demands patience. I walk through the studio and observe the dust motes dancing in suspension within the light beams, cutting through the high windows. Upon the workbench, the tools rest with a silent dignity. There is a painter's kit. Here a high, narrow box with a timbre front that slides up to reveal secret compartments. Inside, there are jars of pigments and precious metals that can be worth hundreds of dollars. But what truly captures my archivist's eye is the glow. In a dark corner, an unfinished sign seems to emit its own light. This is 23K gold. Unlike plastic that yellows or paint that peels, gold does not rot. It does not surrender to oxygen. It is the mystery of the shine that refuses to die. A true sign painter does not just paint. He executes a choreography of precision. He begins with chalk, tracing entire alphabets into the void without rulers, relying solely on a trained eye to know if the phrase will have the necessary swing. If a sign lacks that balance, it is mechanical, devoid of life. I observe the master's aged hands preparing his primary tool, the squirrel-hair brush or quill. For Hyperius. The squirrel-hair brush or quill. Or quill. These hairs are so fine, they feel like a whisper tethered to a wooden handle. To apply the gold, the process is fascinating. The artist does not use his hands directly. He brushes it against his own face to generate static electricity. It is this invisible charge that lifts the 23K gold, leaf a sheet so thin a single breath would destroy it, and deposits it gently onto the sized surface. Once there, the gold becomes part of the structure itself. It is the triumph of technique over matter. The silence is absolute before each long stroke. Time seems to stop between the tip of the quill and the surface. There was a time when cities were read on the walls, and the authors of these texts were the Walldogs, the Walldogs. Imagine Chicago in 1920. 750 men in the Union, guarding the secrets of the streets. They climbed improvised scaffolds, suspended by hemp ropes dozens of feet above the asphalt, battling the sun that cooked the paint and the wind that threatened to hurl them into the abyss. They were laborers, but they had the pride of kings. A Walldog signed his work, knowing that the pigment, loaded with lead and oil, would outlast his own life. There are stories of painters who, even when starving, preferred to sell their kits for a few dollars in saloons than accept a job without swing. There was an ethics to the street. If you left out a letter in an isolated road, like the zing, in a vulcanizing sign, you found a creative way to cover the error with a wet paint board. But you never left the work incomplete. The sign was the face of the business, and the painter was the guardian of that image. But then, the hurry disease infected our streets. Neon arrived first with its incessant hum, replacing the calm of paint. Then came plastic, vinyl, and digital logos printed in series. Where there was once a human hand, with its micro-imperfections that gave a soul to calligraphy, there is now only the coldness of a vector. The modern world traded the eternal durability of gold for the convenience of the disposable. Haste erased the art from the sidewalks. Today, we look at storefronts and see standardized fonts. Devoid of identity, we lost the swing. We lost the ability to recognize a man's signature on a street corner. Plastic does not age with dignity. It cracks and becomes trash. Meanwhile, the gold, buried under layers of dust in forgotten buildings, remains there, waiting for the light to hit it to prove that patience is still the greatest of virtues. In the past, the streets spoke in calligraphy. Today, they only blink. As I walk these streets today, I wonder what we will leave behind. As we learn in antique stores, history is not just made of great political events, but of the systematic accumulation of non-events, traditions, crafts, and the care given to common things. Knowledge of this material past gives us identity and connects us to others. What will our cities say about us 100 years from now? Will they speak of a generation that loved the ephemeral, or will they find, beneath peeling plaster, the stubborn glint of a hand-painted sign? At the Golden Vault, we believe that the value of an object lies in its ability to inspire us to look back. Perhaps, by valuing the stroke of the sign painter, we are actually trying to recover our own humanity. Why did we stop writing our names with something that lasts forever? The hurry passes. The gold remains. And you! What are you building to last?